Today we're going to talk about Google Ads and the changes that were launched on June 17th. This is the expression on my face every time Google says something that something's changing. So it's just kind of within our company, we kind of laugh about that because I'm teeing all this up. So there's what Google says, and there's what Google means, and then there's what Google wants. They're typically three different things. And you'll see some of the transparency that we have in here that you're just looking at that going, I think that only benefits one party in the equation, and it's typically Google. So whenever you see quotation marks in this little presentation, that's a quote from Google and what they have said about this. They said that they're improving offline conversion quality and smart and PMAX campaigns with store goals. So I'm going to read, what Google is saying, and then how it interprets to your business. Well, what does that mean to the auto repair industry? I'll go ahead and translate some of their terminology. This is a direct quote from What to Expect. They said, as we shift focus towards the higher engagement and local intent. Now, local intent, just so you know, that is people getting directions, people clicking to call, people that are within your geographical area. So when it says local intent, that's what it's talking about. It says you may observe a decrease in conversion volume and an increase in cost per conversion and cost per store visit. Other factors like budget, targeting, and seasonality can also impact these metrics. So what does this mean to you? They're saying that with some of their new guidelines that some of your costs might go up for conversions. And some of these, we're ahead of the curve a few months, especially all of y'all's superchargers. If we're running superchargers for you, then those are ahead of this curve. But we're gonna see how their guidelines, and they haven't said anything about how their algorithms are changing. That is something that they have not released, and so you kind of have to read between the lines on these. And at the end,
So,
I'll kind of wrap that up. Go ahead.
so is this another cute way of them saying we're raising our costs or raising
Um,
prices?
that is one thing that I kind of saw in here too. So I'm glad that you noticed that, and we've seen some upticks in pricing for the PMAX campaigns, and some of the bidding has gone up. And I don't know if they are artificially rising those or if those are real from competition. So some of our clients, we've stuck our toe in the water and raised some of their bidding budgets, and it's helped. So that tells me that's competition. But if you raise your budget and it doesn't help, then that's Google. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. So we don't know until we stick a couple dollars to it, and then we know for sure. Why the changes? Here's what they said. By focusing on engaged users and high intent channels like search and maps, we aim to enhance campaign efficiency and effectiveness, improve long-term performance and optimization, drive higher quality conversions, and generate more valuable and incremental offline actions. So offline actions, just so you know, that's that's a term that they use for, they're trying to take credit for in-store visits. So if somebody's at your shop and they buy another service, Google is trying to get credit for that. They call that an offline transaction. And so they're trying to show more value to you by trying harder to track those things and by encouraging their clientele to track those things. And through like Shop Genie and some of, Shop Boss, some of those softwares, it's getting easier to track where your lead came from originally and attribute it to Google. But they're trying to get you to attribute it to Google. Say you have a client that's been a client for 4 years, they still want you to attribute that to Google. So that's when it says offline, that's what they're talking about. Anything that's done, once the search has been done. Let's see, maximize your return on investment. I disagree with that completely. This is opposite of maximizing your return on investment, in my humble opinion. Um, So like you say, Jesse, I think that some of this is a play for, hey, we're getting a little bit more expensive. But they still need to realize that they still compete against other entities. They don't believe that they do, but they do. So they're competing against door hangers. They're competing against uh, mail. They are competing against all those things. I don't know if any of you were on the call with the referrals when we were talking about referrals. If you didn't watch that episode, you should. But referrals, I mean, they are so much better of an ROI than Google is. I'm highly pushing referrals and how to get referrals. So if somebody's struggling with those, please hit us up afterwards. We can even have a meeting on it and get your referral cards going. But that is by far the highest ROI marketing that we're doing with any of our clients. So I'm just teeing this up saying, because it's easy as a business owner to see these things and go, oh man, more costs. Well, we keep looking at other things that you can do to compete with it. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. However, in my demographic, with our main target being, or and us actually capturing so many people off the interstate that
Yep.
maybe their primary residence isn't even in the state of Oklahoma. Obviously the online presence and everything working like it's supposed to has to has to stay top focus.
Yeah, I agree. So you're right. So this can affect you, but we're taking measures to make sure that it doesn't affect you that much, Jesse.
Thank
So
you.
I'm gonna explain some of those. So in looking at their recommendations, when they say Performance Max for store goal and omni-channel recommendations, um, take some of these with a grain of salt. In fact, most of them take with a grain of salt. Uh, it is recommending that we relax targets, and I disagree with most of these, just so you know. So you're relaxing targeting. So it's basically saying, just relax those. Um, you're not you're not as specific in what you're looking for, and I disagree with that because that can cause waste. It also says that we need to diversify offline conversion goals. That's okay. So, like I say, your offline conversion goals, if you want people to purchase a second time, like setting a second appointment, that's what it's talking about there. So it has nothing to do with Google. That's goal setting outside of Google, is what that boils down to. But they still want to be attributed as the one that brought that to you. Expand location targeting. So Jesse, they're saying with you, you could expand your location to 150 miles out for marketing. So if they would allow us to skew the map towards 150 miles of the freeway, I would consider that. But 150-mile radius is that's massive. There's no way that it would benefit you. So expand location targeting. Let's see, consolidate campaigns. This can help, but they're just kind of asking marketers to clean up their rooms, so to speak, because some of our competitors, especially in the automotive space, say you need a lot of campaigns. You do, but not as many as you don't need 15 campaigns. You can do really well with 5. So let's see, remove geo-targeting. Once again, I disagree with that. I think that you're going to have a broader search, correct? Yes, that's true. You will be broader and you will bring in more people, but at the same time, that's where one of your costs is going up. You know how it said that it's going to cost you more for a conversion? If you turn off your geo-targeting and you're less targeted, then yes, your costs are going to go up. You will get more conversions, yes, but it'll be at an expensive price. And you might as well use one of our competitors if you're going to relax that. So remove ad scheduling. So all of your ads are scheduled to go and operate during business hours because our best ROI is then. So people still search for auto repair when they get home. That's true. But we have found that your most and greatest conversions happen during business hours. Does that make sense? So they're saying even though you're not during business hours, go ahead and still market. You're going to make more. But once again, that's one of the places where I think that if we did that, then your costs would go up. And I don't think that your quality of conversion would go up. So I think this is bad advice, in my opinion. Relax audience targeting and refresh and diversify creative. This is actually their best advice on the page. So as you guys take pictures around your shops and we keep it fresh, Google really likes that. So I'm gonna zoom out. Google has to compete for search engine optimization just like everyone else does. And if all of their stuff isn't fresh and new, and if they're not obeying the algorithms, then Google loses to other search engines. They still have to compete. So they only hold 92% of the market share, which it seems like that's a lot, but there are constantly new competitors coming in the marketplace, and like ChatGPT is just dominating right now. If we had a way of measuring that, they would be kicking Google's butt hands down on every measurable. And within the next few years, you're going to see some morphing and some fighting of the titans. It's going to be crazy. So refresh, diversify. So Henry, as you're walking around your shop, just get some pictures of the guys. Whenever you do a training and you're giving them burritos, take a picture of training with burritos. If you have a customer that brings a dog in that's cute, take a picture of the dog. If you have an El Camino that comes in that has a great exhaust system on it, different things like that. Just take pictures of whatever you can. And if it's video, it's even better. But when it's talking about refresh and diversify, that's what it's talking about. And they do indeed give preference to that. So do we have any comments?
So I do that and then I put that on my Google page.
Yes. So we can add that to your Google business page. There are update places for that. And Google really likes that. They give preference to that. Or if you just send it to Gab or myself, then we'll get it put on the right places. And it can be put on your Facebook and your social, and then it can also be put on Google. They like those updates.
Okay.
So
just email it over to you guys or text it. What's better?
Yep, either way.
Okay.
Yep. And then so your Google business page, that is still fighting not just with Google, but with the other search engines. And so we want to continue to enhance that. And you've heard me say this, if you help enough people get what they want, you're going to get what you want. So right there, you're helping Google get what it wants. And so they give you preference. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Expand reach, add additional search themes. Search themes isn't something we've talked a lot about. I haven't really bought into that as far as Google goes. So search themes are not keywords. So I want to put that out there. Search themes are, what is starting this conversation? And so it's broader and you can have up to 25 of them per campaign. But your search theme, say you're talking about somebody that has a 2-car garage. That's a theme. If you're talking about somebody that is a homeowner, they probably own the type of vehicle that you want to work on. So that's also a theme. If you talk about road trip, that is a theme. And so they're not keywords per se, but they're things that spark the conversation of auto repair. And so if they're looking at an auto loan, that is a search theme, different things that are associated with it, but are not keywords. And so I don't know how they're using it, I don't know if anybody here has ever experienced this. We had a client that we were on a bus tour together, and they were talking about Russia and taking a Russian vacation just randomly. I had never said that before. They had never said it before, but we were saying, hey, what would it be like if we took a tour to Russia? I kid you not, the next time that we opened our Google, there was an ad for Russian vacations. So I don't know how morally this is being used right now. I don't know how it's being used completely. That scares me personally. But these are real and they're morphing. We just don't have a lot of information on them yet because, well, I don't know why, but they haven't told us the full extent that they're being used. But when we talk about search themes, just so you know, that's what we're talking about. So we are assigning those to your Google campaigns, but if they're going to start going after search themes, I think that your accuracy is going to go down, and that's one of the reasons it could be more expensive. So that's just my opinion, and just me not knowing is because they haven't told us yet. Optimized creatives, once again, here it is the second time. So Google really wants that. And then maximize delivery, remove ad scheduling restrictions. So they're recommending this. Like I say, people really do still look for auto repair after hours. They just their conversion ratio is way lower. So if they're looking at it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they'll schedule a maintenance, they will call, they'll message, but after hours, it's far less for people to take action. So they're mostly shopping around in the evenings. So what do you need to do? Nothing. We're taking care of it. But there was enough panic that was caused with the email that they sent that we needed to address it and educate everyone on what's going on there. And one other thing that I wanted to bring up with Google is, let's just say that we're looking for auto repair West Jordan. That's where I am. Okay, there's now an AI mode in every place in the United States. So this is new. This had been piloted, but this is brand new. And so people have the opportunity to say, "Oh, I want to look at everything." But this is Google's synopsis of what is going on with auto repair in my area. This is we had talked about this coming, but it's here. And so we need to be very aware with our Google reviews and the way that we're responding to those, because this is pulling this information. This is JP Auto, for instance, specializes in BMW and Porsche vehicles, but also services all makes and models. They have 5-star rating with 69 user reviews. So they're pulling all this information and summing it up. So I wanted everyone to know this is everywhere in the country. Google has launched this. And so as we are responding to reviews and things like that, if somebody brought a BMW in, it's best if we know that and we reply, "Hey, thank you for bringing your BMW in." Especially Henry, for you, as we're talking about certain vehicles that you want to work on. And Jesse, for you with your commercial side, we need to start looking at that. Let's have a special meeting on the commercial side and talk about heavy and different things like that, to where we can stack our deck to where it says you specialize in that. You see the power in that?
Mm-hmm.
So this is Google's answer to Chat GPT. We'll see how it goes.